Okay, so now we're going to be in the last stage of building business. So far, we've done what we can to improve how we're performing. We're blocking out competitors by delivering a truly unique experience to our clients. Now we need to target the work. And I know probably most of you would have preferred if I started right here, but quite frankly, the first two phases are mandatory if you expect this last phase to work. So, welcome to the inside of your client's mind. Here are all the things that your client may be thinking about at any given moment of their day. Notice I didn't even include personal goals or life outside of work on this slide because I would have just run out of room. Now, let's talk about the way many attorneys and law firms approach business development. Usually, an attorney will call up a client asking if they need anything, or they ask if they can introduce the client to a litigation attorney at the firm that they know the client is just going to love working with. Well, the problem with this approach is that if you aren't saying these words to them at the exact moment of when they're thinking about a litigation problem or what their next legal issue is that they're going to need outside counsel for, then you're simply noise to the client. The conversation gets killed before it goes anywhere because the client isn't ready to think about that topic right now. They're thinking about all the other issues and responsibilities that they're managing, which means if we are going to grab our client's attention, we need to start the conversation on a topic that they're interested in contemplating at that moment. Then we're going to transition the conversation into how we're going to be able to do work for them. So I'm going to call this transition selling. So what does this look like? Well, first, you need to have another meeting with the client because I think most of us would agree the most effective business development occurs when you are in front of the client having a discussion with them, right? The trick, of course, is getting in front of them in the way that you'd like, which is outside the scope of current work that you're doing for them. But we know trying to set up a generic meet and greet is getting more and more difficult. In fact, David Ogilvy, he's known as the father of advertising, he set up Ogilvy and Mather. He used to tell clients that you can only sell one thing at a time. So in your case, you don't want to focus on selling the client anything else, absolutely nothing except that meeting, which means you need to be giving them something that's worth taking time out of their schedule for. Unfortunately, lunch is usually not worth taking time out of their schedule for. They're too busy putting out those fires. They're trying to get too many other issues resolved. So setting up lunch to meet a litigation partner or to talk about their business in general is not really a high priority for the client because they don't have a pressing litigation need, or they know they're not looking to hire an outside counsel right now. So the meeting needs to be about something else, something specific, something pointed that will interest the client enough to actually come to this meeting. Now, it's also helpful if you can mention that it's not going to take up too much of their time and that also you won't be charging them for the time. So, what are we going to use as our carrots? What are we going to get them excited about coming to this meeting for? Going to give you a handful of ideas to get your creative juices flowing. So for the IP folks on the call, how about an IP litigation jurisdiction guide? So this is a guide that ranks jurisdictions according to different factors, maybe speed of decision, favorability of the courts to NPEs, or how about the amount of the settlement? Clients would love to have this information on an ongoing basis so they can see where they should be trying their IP litigation cases. For regular litigation, e-discovery, massive headache for clients and quite frankly for law firms alike. So maybe you're struggling to get clients to assemble the right documentation in a timely manner. Well, start off by providing them with an e-discovery toolkit, their guidelines on what information they need to have on hand for how long. Start working them through the process with this guidebook. It's something they're going to want because they need to manage this internally. And in fact, this one has a benefit for you because it helps the client start doing the things that you want them doing ahead of a litigation anyway. And then the last one, this is more if you are sort of on the employment side of things. Draft up some sample policies for them. The hot ones right now are social media use or personal device usage. These are all items that clients are interested in having in their own arsenal, and this makes your selling of the meeting very easy because you can say, hey client, we just put the final touches on this great new tool and you are going to need this. I want to make sure that you get a first crack at it. I want to walk you through how you can get the most out of this tool. So do you have 30 minutes or an hour in the next few weeks where we can go through this? And now notice, before I sort of move on to the next step here, these are general use tools. Nowhere is it, this is the IP jurisdiction guide for Dell computers. This is just an IP jurisdiction guide. So this means that this is scalable and you can use this with multiple clients. So again, when we start thinking about that growth curve, yes, there's going to be a little time when we first create these tools, but then you're going to start seeing the growth jump up along the way because you can start pushing this out to multiple clients down the line. Okay, so now we've got a meeting with the client. The next part that we need to do in this meeting is to identify the client's pain point. And this is going to be one that relates to the tool or the item that you brought to them. You cannot walk in with an IP litigation jurisdiction guide and hope to walk out with securities work. That's just not how this kind of meeting is going to flow well. So you need to build information into the conversation for the client and build questions into the conversation that's going to get information out of them. You don't want to sort of come out asking questions that reek of business development. So any new IP litigation cases you want to discuss isn't, a very strong opening sentence. This plays a little bit about using your understanding of the client to ask smart questions that drive more targeted conversations. So I've given you a fabulous question here to ponder. Could it be worded more smoothly? I'm sure, but hopefully you get what I'm going for. The goal is to get the client talking about their problems in their own words. So again, let's say you're that employment attorney and you came armed with your new policy wording regarding social media and BYOD usage. Your statement to the client will be something along the lines of, a lot of my clients recently have been asking about their severance agreement terms, but seeing as you're a professional services firm with lots of employees connected to their devices remotely, I wanted to get you these policies first because they're probably going to be more helpful to you. But have you had a chance to review your severance agreements lately? Some of those new enforcements by the EEOC, they're focused on, whatever issue. I'm not an attorney, and clearly my expertise in this area is about to run out, so fill in the blanks, but that's how you start a smart conversation, knowing about your client, knowing about the type of issues they're going to face, and then you can identify what's really on their mind, what are they thinking about most. Now comes the tricky part of the conversation, because once we get the client talking about their pain point, we actually want to throw a little lemon juice into that cut for them. And I know it sounds a little terrible, but our goal ultimately is to transition the client from thinking about their problems to hiring someone to help solve their problems. And so we usually need to nudge them a little bit in this direction. We want to get our clients into the orange bubble of their thinking process. So this comes with asking them some hypothetical questions. Now, hypothetical but reasonable and likely well-founded questions. So I've given you some more wonderfully worded questions to pepper into your conversation. What's funny is in BTI's client feedback research, we actually consider hypothetical questions the enemy because we're looking to understand how clients actually behave, not how they might behave in a made-up scenario. In this meeting, that's exactly what we want them to do. We want the client thinking about this made-up scenario that hasn't occurred yet and get them thinking about what's at risk for them if they don't act and how they're going to solve that problem. And boy, isn't it handy that you're here discussing it with them and helping them think through this whole issue. This is all seed planting. Again, you're not selling your services outright, but eventually the conversation will naturally flow down that path. And really, that's what this market of one approach is about. We're not hard selling any of our clients in this. This is building business. It's about targeting needs. It's about becoming a better partner with your client. So as part of this meeting, you're going to gain valuable insight into what it is that's most helpful to your client and how you really are the one best positioned to help them solve that problem. And again, before you leave, you want to set up your seed for the next outreach. So you're going to tell the client what specifically you're going to do for them. Now these ideas here, while they look similar to what we used as our carrot to get the client to agree to the meeting, these are highly customized pieces of work. So say you're talking about IP with this client. Now you're going to offer an IP monitoring for them. You're going to, review Supreme Court rulings, federal court decisions, NPE, competitor activity, and, assemble a report for them. Maybe you have a client who's national, global, going through jurisdiction updates for them, federal, state, municipal requirements so that they are not at risk of a class action suit. And these particular items, they don't need to be free either. Now, not a lot of firms are taking this approach yet. There are a handful who are doing that. Some firms, they're beginning to put together a subscription service for these types of services. Other firms, they offer these services for free, not across the board to all of their clients, obviously, but to their very high potential, high spending clients, they will offer these services as an investment in the relationship so that they know that when a matter does escalate to needing outside counsel, that firm is already in place to help the client with the matter. That's a decision for you to make on your own. I just wanted to give you some examples of what other firms are doing in the market today. Again, the point here, you want to be specific about how you're going to follow up with the client based on this discussion. And maybe you don't know what that exact deliverable is at the end of the meeting. Just flub it, say, hey, you gave me a lot of great things to think about, and I'm going to be in touch in 2 weeks, and we're going to start talking about how we're going to solve this issue for you. As long as you have a way to say, I will be back in touch and we're going to be solving your needs, that keeps the conversation going. Okay, so I know that this is a lot of work, but it also is the most effective growth strategy that I've seen for building out client relationships. I've seen these types of strategies take 5-figure relationships easily into 9 figures. So far more effective than usual business development strategies, and it's because it is so targeted. And again, you are going to focus on your high growth, high spending, high potential clients. You don't do this with every single client that you have. It is not an effective way of your time, quite frankly. Now, what is great about this approach? Well, I've touched on it throughout, but it's scalable. So there's the upfront work where you're going to be building out those initial tool sets, but once you have them at your disposal, you can start using them with multiple clients. You can customize them for clients easily and quickly. And again, all this does is gets the cycle of conversation going, and it gives clients items that helps them start their decision-making process a little sooner than they may have done if we sort of left it up to them. And the good news is that since the conversations keep going, you keep finding new problems from your clients. And that's good news for you because problems are how you all make money. With that, I do want to thank everyone again today for joining me. I do welcome you to reach out to me directly, and my number and my email are on the screen. Feel free to reach out to me if you have specific questions.